JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome into the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV and ABC Channel 47, and now, once again, on 93.5 The Beach, Delmarva's Rock Radio, and the strongest signal Ravens affiliate on the peninsula. We're all over the place, TV, radio. You got to make sure to check in the show. But we'd love to see you down here at the Ravens Room, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City. Doors open at 5:30. The show starts at 7. Ravens tickets giveaways. We've got hotel giveaways, also Bud Light prize packages as well. Week number 5 of the NFL, Mike Bradley from 105.7 The Fan of Baltimore, also 92.7 WGMD locally. Spencer Tillis to my left, sports director at WMDT.
That's all right.
I have a tough time blending that together. We've had 4 takes. So, Tony Lombardi from our RussellStreetReport.com and Bobby Vermillion from Endless Golf and the Resort Golf Guide and some Mid-Atlantic shows as well, right?
Absolutely.
With your shows?
Just golf.
Yeah.
I'm not even good at golf. I have no idea what I'm doing.
What do you know about football? Why are you up now? And host of the Stallion Sports Show. Well, couple years back. All right, a couple of things I wanted to get into. We had an audience question concerning the loss of Dennis Pitta. We got into that a little bit last week, but it's a good question because in this past week's game, of course, you've got Owen Daniels, who had a couple of touchdown catches in that Thursday night game against the Steelers. But who's going to pick up the slack? And one of the guys is a rookie drafted out of Colorado, Crockett Gilmore. And Spencer, you have some firsthand knowledge on Crockett Gilmore.
Yeah, it was actually pretty exciting coming here because my first job was in Colorado. I got to cover Colorado State, which is where he went in.
Oh, Colorado State.
For the last 2 years, I got to see him firsthand, cover him for every chance he got out on the field. And I thought this was going to be a great fit for him because he is really a good blocking tight end. And he developed ability to start catching the ball. He actually began his career at Colorado State as a DN of all things, and then he got converted into a tight end. His first year, he had over 1,200 yards, led the team in receptions, and then they started keying on him a little bit more, and then he became a really good blocking tight end. I thought he was going to fit well here, and it was one of those situations where I felt it was a good situation for him because he'd have a chance to maybe groom a little bit, but this is one of those opportunities that falls in your hands, and I think he definitely has an opportunity to move in and really be a key contributor for this team.
Tony, he's being played a lot and being used in blocking situations.
I just like his name. Crockett Gilmore. It's a great name.
Sounds like a soap opera name, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's what Ken Wyman was saying, my coworker.
No, well, the thing is, when you challenge and dig into your depth, you get weaker because you lose a Dennis Pitta, and now Owen Daniels is your number 1 guy. Owen Daniels has had a checkered past in terms of his health history, so that's an issue. Is he going to be able to go 16 games? So you get back to what you said, Spencer. Crockett Gilmore might be catching balls sooner or later. And the other cool name that the Ravens have, Philip Supernull, the other tight end. So he might see some time. He was active this week.
He was.
Not Arthur Brown, but Philip Supernull was active. Yeah. And when you
Gilmore's a rookie though. He is playing.
But when you dig into your depth, it makes you a little bit weaker as a team. It may make that player stronger down the road. But, losing a Dennis Pitt is big. And I think, we focus on the tight ends that will take up the slack. But I think you'll see Kyle Juszczyk catch some of the passes that Dennis Pitt would have on those screens that we've seen them run effectively. And you may see Marlon Brown be used as a big target in the slot, much like Dennis Pitt was used. So I think it's more than just the tight ends that pick up the slack.
Right.
It's good to see the rookie Crockett Gilmore on the field, and I do think he's played extremely well blocking, and I think that's a big fact. It's funny you mentioned that was his strength at Colorado State, because you definitely see that's the packages that he's in right now. I think eventually they'll turn him in and let him catch the ball a little bit, but I think he's been a good addition to the team. With Pitta going down, Tony, you alluded to it, you're going to see more catches from some other guys, and I think you actually saw that in Torrey Smith this week. I don't think it's any accident that Torrey Smith got a little more action this week without Pitta, and also Marlon Brown is another guy. And you talked about Jacoby Jones a little bit earlier. You know, Jacoby Jones is just in a funk right now. He's got to catch the football. Yeah. He has 9 drops, but 3 or 4 times he had plays that could have changed the dynamics of a football game, and he didn't make the play. And, you know, sometimes I get worried when Jacoby's back there catching punts, because he catches the punts fine, but when it comes to catching a pass, he's just in a funk right now. I think he's a pro. He'll get out of it. John Harbaugh alluded to this at his press conference this week, just saying that nobody works harder than Jacoby at catching balls. So you just got to keep going to him. It's like a hitter in a slump. You just got to keep swinging the bat, and eventually it'll turn around.
But, you know, with Jacoby, I think, too, that, you know, he's 30 years old. You don't get faster when you get older. And you've got a guy, Michael Campanaro, who's a good returner. He's got great hands. He's like that Wes Welker, Julian Edelman kind of player, and the Ravens really like him. I understand he's looking great in practice. Jacoby Jones, you know, when he's had, I think, 17 opportunities for kickoffs. 13 of those have been touchbacks. Not his fault, but he's being neutralized by the touchback. He's had 5 punt returns out of 13 fair catches. And there's another thing he doesn't do well. I don't think he comes up in traffic and catches the ball. He tells everybody to get out of the way, and it bounces deeper into your territory. That's another flaw with him. I think Michael Campanaro, I mean, if this kind of trend continues with Jacoby, I think it might be time to turn the page and move on to Campanaro.
I think the answer, though, I think the answer, though, is Jacoby Jones, too. They're saying he's trying too hard. But an answer to a question about Pitta, by committee in terms of how they're going to make up for his production. And Gilmore can catch the football, too. They may not ask him to do that much this year, but it could be the case with next year. And who knows about Pitta's career. But you have a guy there that might be able to block and catch it. It's rare to have a tight end that can do both in this league.
And he's a big kid, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And just quickly, because we need to preview the upcoming game, taking a look at last week, Doomerville and Suggs had a great game on the edges. Suggs has had a rough year last year, and I think somewhat of a rough start to the year. I don't agree with Childs Walker and the Sun. His comments that Suggs has had a really good under-the-radar beginning of the year, I disagree with that. But those two guys had a big game. They're going to need to have a big game coming up. And let's get into it. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. The Ravens on the road in Indianapolis. We'll call them the Ursays for our Ravens 44 members who are fans of our old Baltimore team. In this game, I mean, you take a look, 5,220 yards. That's the pace that quarterback Andrew Luck is on to finish the season at. He's on fire. He's the guy that everybody thought he'd be coming out of Stanford, Tony, and we'll start with him. He clearly starts and ends at the quarterback position. We know that in this league, and you're going to have to do something to at least limit Andrew Luck in this game.
He's the full package. He's the real deal. You know, he stands in the pocket tall. He's tough in the pocket, a little bit like Roethlisberger because he sheds off some would-be tacklers. And he's also fleet-footed. He gets outside the pocket, makes plays with his legs. I think he's averaging like 3 first downs with his legs per game. So he's just the real deal. He sees the field well. He just doesn't have a very good offensive line. So all the credit has to go to him and his receivers because he's got a good stable of receivers. But, I mean, a lot of credit because that front line has not protected him very well at all.
Bobby, when you take a look at the matchup, if you remember, we played in our Super Bowl year. We played them, I want to say, in the first round in Baltimore, and he had maybe a best 50% completion percentage. Tony talked about the line. We were able to get after him, and he was missing on a lot of throws, but we know how good he can be. Again, that's going to be needing to get pressure on him, but with the weapons they have, I'm not sure that we can bring a lot of blitzes in this game.
Well, you have to look at that. That's a big factor, and the front seven is huge in this game because we know the back end is not perfect right now. We don't know whether Ladarius Webb is going to play in this game, but if he does, we also don't know how effective he's going to be. So getting pressure on Andrew Luck and getting him to the ground is huge, and at least hitting him, getting him off his mark because, as you know, they do have a lot of weapons, Tony, and if they give Andrew Luck time, he can pick that secondary apart.
Yeah, they've got a good stable of receivers. You know, it starts with Reggie Wayne, the veteran who came in the year the same year that, or came into the league the same year that Steve Smith Sr. did. And they've got T.Y. Hilton, and they've got Hakeem Nicks, who came over from the Giants, and Fleener is a
couple
nice
of Dwayne Allen and Kobe Fleener at tight end.
Nice tight ends. And Ahmad Bradshaw is catching the ball nicely out of the backfield.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, Spencer, they've done a good job, if you take a look at the stats, distributing the ball around. But anybody that thinks Reggie Wayne's over the hill, doesn't know what they're talking about because he's still a very valuable part of this passing offense for Indianapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see he definitely picked up some things watching Marvin Harrison when he was younger, first in the league. His route running is just perfect. I mean, it feels like he always maybe doesn't have that breakaway speed as much as he used to, but still finds a way to get open. And Luck right now, the rhythm he is right now coming into this game. He's had 2 straight games of over 375 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's the first time in the league history that's ever happened. I mean, he is on pace right now. If he has 400, I think it was 95 yards in these next 2 games, he'll have over 10,000 as a career, faster there than Peyton Manning. He'll break the franchise record. I mean, the guy is on fire right now. And you're right, he's spreading around. It has a lot to do with the fact that he has multiple targets that he can get to.
And Trent Richardson really hasn't gotten it going this year, but he's a guy that came in last year. They traded him away in Cleveland. They got a first-round draft pick for him. And I tell you what, he's better this year than he was last year, but he's still not the Trent Richardson you thought he was going to be.
Yeah, only 3.3 average per carry. Now, Ahmad Bradshaw has a 5.4 average per carry. Now, in terms of running, passing, they certainly lean to the pass. 171 attempts to 122 rushes, but it's not overwhelmingly in the pass, so they'll still run the ball enough. But the Ravens have been good about stopping the run so far. But, Tony, their offense reminds me of the Ravens' offense. They distribute the ball around. They throw to their tight ends, both of whom have 5 touchdown catches this year. They've got some receivers they can throw to as well. And so it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, I think that those numbers are a little bit misleading, Mike, and I'll tell you why. Because they've gotten out to such big leads that they start to grind the ball just to kill the clock. If you look at their stats, in time of possession, I think they're averaging like 36 minutes per game, so that's a heavy load for possess the ball. I think that with their running game, they use it just to grind out the clock because they're so far in front. So if the Ravens can make them one-dimensional, they might have a chance.
Now, just to give you a preview, or I should say a recap, that is, they lost Week 1 at Denver 31-24. If you remember, was it last year, 2 years ago? Actually, Luck went into Indianapolis and beat and was able to, beat Denver, that is. Peyton Manning went into Indianapolis, and Luck held the home field advantage and beat Peyton Manning, who he took over for. So they lost against Denver. They lost at home to Philadelphia on Monday night, 30-27. They defeated Jacksonville, defeated Tennessee, so one wonders who did they really beat. Got about 60 seconds. How do you guys see this game going, or offensive attack and final score?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I came here tonight, I said, you know what, I'm taking the Colts because I just felt like on the road, they're a good football team. But then I realized that they beat Tennessee and Jacksonville, so I can't take the Colts. They haven't proven anything yet. They're decimated a little bit on injuries on the defense. We didn't talk about that. I'm going to take the Ravens. I think Tucker kicks a game-winning field goal. They win 23-20.
I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think that the Ravens secondary gets exposed this game. I like the Irsay's 34-30.
I feel the same. I think the secondary is just going to that's the weak point for the Ravens. That's what the Colts are going to attack. I feel like they come out somewhere around, I think they put up a big number around 37, 33, somewhere around there.
All right, it helps Laurent Landry has been suspended, but I got to go our secondary on the road right now against their attack. I got to go with the Irsay's 34-31. But go Ravens. We'll be back next week. It is the Ravens Wrap Show. Comcast Beach TV, ABC Channel 47, and 93.5 The Beach.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Ox.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.